everyone. Welcome to Talks at Google. I'm Kevin Vlk with the Google team, and here we are in sunny LA at YouTube Space. So how awesome is this space, huh, guys? So this full production facility, we're really excited here because we're doing something brand new that we haven't done on Talks at Google before. We're doing a YouTube 360-degree live stream. So we're live right now across the world, and these two cameras that you see here are 360 degrees. So for you guys watching online, what we're going to be doing here today is interviewing the cast of Finding Dory. So we're going to bring them up here in just a second. So for you guys watching online, if you're watching on your mobile device, just take your phone, just look around in complete 360 degrees. Then we got some fun stuff here in the back. You can look around the production facility. And then if you're on desktop, just take your mouse, click the video, move it around, and that's it. So, all right, we're ready to meet the cast? Let's bring them out. Ladies and gentlemen, the cast, the voice cast, and creative team behind Disney Pixar's Finding Dory. Welcome, guys.
Hello.
Hello.
Thanks so much for coming here. Finding Dory out June 17th. Thank you guys all for being here. Ellen, welcome. This is a movie completely about your character, Dory, and you've been...
Other characters as well.
Right. And, thank you. But, so your... Yeah, go ahead.
I didn't know that. I just found that out.
I'm Dory.
And so, but you were a huge cheerleader for this film for years on your show. So
Thank God I had a show. We would not be sitting here had I not had a talk show. So,
True statement.
The pressure. It's true.
Talk about intimidation.
Yeah. He finally called and said, "Uncle." He's like, "All right, we'll do it. We'll do it." It was the.
She said, "I was just kidding."
Yeah.
That's what she said.
I was like, "No, I'm not interested." No, it was started as I seriously wanted a sequel. I was like, they make sequels for every other successful film. We won an Academy Award for crying out loud. So where's the sequel? And then it just got to be a joke. And then I just gave up, and I was just, I'm just going to keep going because it's funny. But and then it worked out.
And then 13 years later, so Andrew, you brought this back 13 years later. So when did that idea, besides Ellen pushing you, come into play?
When you make these movies, you see them so many times. So I'd seen Finding Nemo about 100 times before 2003 even finished. So you just stop watching. And about 8 years later, it was 2011, they wanted to put it out in 3D. They put me in a theater, and I watched it like an audience member for the first time in a long time. And I walked out so worried about Dory. I was just like, she's going to forget Marlin Nemo. She won't know how to get back. And I don't know where she's from, and I think that she's got abandonment issues that I know about as a writer. So suddenly it just all started to bubble up after that.
It's unbelievable, and it's a wonderful film. I've seen it. It's
By the way,
absolutely
as long as you're here, make the third one before we die.
Oh, okay.
Oh. Well, Ellen, I want to get to you actually about your character too, Marlin. Marlin's back, and we have the new voice of Nemo right back there, Hayden.
Hayden.
Say hello to everyone.
Hayden.
Hayden's actually 30. Plays a really good 9-year-old.
Wait, you guys didn't know yet?
And so, Albert, your character Marlin is back, obviously, and it's interesting because it was really great to see you now have a completely different dynamic with your son Nemo, and now Marlin is much more protective over Dory, who wants to go find her family. So can you talk a little bit about where Marlin is at this stage? And
Well, I know he doesn't agree, but I thought that Marlin was in love with Dory. I mean it. I just figured that, he's...
Whatever makes the
Clearly
scenes
you
work
have
for you.
not
Albert.
heard.
Marlin's lonely, and he hadn't found anyone else, and she's lovely, and, why not? But...
I think we have the next sequel.
Yeah, I was just going to say, there's your third.
But, it was great. Hayden's terrific. Alexander Gould, who played the first one, he's 42. So I actually was in Weeds with him. After he was Nemo, I played his grandfather in Weeds, so that was sort of interesting, talking about pot with Nemo, you know. But Hayden's wonderful, and, you know, like a modern divorced family, here's a new kid.
There we go. It's going great. So Ty and Kaitlin, you guys play new characters in the film. So we have Bailey, which is your character, Ty, and then Destiny. So tell us about your characters.
We're buddies.
Yeah. Basically, Bailey and Destiny are two people that Dory enlists to help her find her folks. People. They're two people.
Yeah.
Dressed in whale and whale shark costumes.
It's like an abstract kind of a thing we were doing.
Did you dress in whale costumes when you recorded this?
Yeah.
You didn't need to do
We're
that.
the only
That was
live
not
action part of
necessary.
this movie. It was exhausting.
You must have been so hot.
Yeah, it was really hot. Bailey's a big beluga whale, and Destiny is a giant whale shark, and they're kind of have a brother-sister relationship, and they get on each other's nerves, but they're very sweet, and they end up trying to help Dory out.
Great. And we have an exclusive clip we're going to play here in just a few minutes with your two characters. So we'll bring that up here in a little bit. But Ellen, so you know you're returning to the character of Dory. It's a really, really emotional story about her trying to find her parents. So you know, when you first read the script, was there anything that you were able to bring to the script or tell Andrew, I'm looking for this in the character, or I want to go this direction?
No, I mean, this guy's a genius. I'm not going to tell him how to write a script. I mean, when I was in the room, I changed a lot, but no. But you know, that's what's great about it. The script is fantastic. The script is what it is, but it's open and free enough that you do 50 takes, and you can then you just do whatever you want to do, and they choose whatever it turns out to be the best one. So
It's always the first.
But you know, it's 4 years writing this thing. I mean, so there was over 10 drafts of this story done over that time, and they know that while we're working with them. And you also adapt to the actors once they're cast. So I'm learning just as much from them, and we're rewriting to play to their strengths, so that it's like hopefully comfortable shoes, almost, and it becomes a little symbiotic at a point.
And Eugene, you play Charlie.
Yes,
the
that's correct.
Father of Dory.
Yeah.
So what can you tell us about Charlie and?
Well, it was exciting to play a dad who has a child not doing strange things with pies. That was a big plus.
That
for
was
me.
That was like your first question in the right.
To write that out.
Yes. Does Dory eat baked goods? No, no, it was kind of it was a very charming. Well, I was honored to be included in this thing, no question about that. And playing a dad, of a child who is, kind of memory impaired, so to speak. So it's kind of a very funny, very amusing. And there's something very heartfelt about playing, a dad whose child is off somewhere. You don't know what happened, and will they ever be able to, how will they function, because she has no memory, short-term memory. So it was interesting and complicated and fun and exciting.
I mean, that's a real powerful part too, and Hayden, I'll get right back to you. But Andrew and Lindsey, when you're creating this story about, it uses very much of a comedic effect in Finding Nemo, where you have Dory's character with short-term memory loss, but it's a real disability in life, and you really, really hit it home in this film. So was that, I mean, because she's really struggling with it, you see it in the beginning of the film, you see it throughout. So was that a point that you really wanted to drive home? And
Yeah, well, she's the main character. Once you have a main character, there has to be more depth to them, and you sadly are sort of forced into a bit of a straight man role when you're in the main character role. The thing that was always great about Dory is that I always knew that tragic side of her. That was always, I always knew her optimism and her caregiving and her can-do spirit was somewhat her armor to protect herself from the sense of loss she had. So it was just sort of flipping that on this film.
It was great too, because I remember the day that you there was the scene where I had to explain what short-term memory loss was and how to explain it. And that was one of the
Yes.
times that I could just go
Yeah.
and talk about how to explain it to someone.
And it was it was funny and heartbreaking
At the same
I
time.
mean, at the same time, and I think that's kind of what the movie really leans into on this one. That it's like it's charming, and that is Dory, and we kind of, we were always trying to walk that line between the charm that was Dory and that is Ellen, and then also the kind of tragedy really of it, and making sure that we never leaned too far one way or the other, so that we felt like it was being really true to this character.
No, it was a delicate balance. I mean, that's what it was. Like in the beginning of the movie, your initial reaction is to laugh. It's like, oh, that's Dory. And then it starts getting deeper, and you're like, oh, God. Like, it's really, really intense. So Hayden, the new voice of Nemo, pretty exciting for my hometown of Chicago, so welcome here to California. So, what was it like to be Nemo?
It's very fun being able to pretend that I'm just a cute little fish and I'm not just me. I actually get to pretend that I'm something that's a very good idea and very fun to do.
Yeah, no, we're wonderful in it. It's crazy because when I was watching it, I actually didn't realize at first from the trailers that they got a new voice. I was like, well, of course they did. It's 13 years later, and you sound exactly like him. It's great. You
He's
do a
like the
wonderful job.
Darren of Bewitched. He had to be
show
as
your
good
folks
as
watched.
the original Darren, and it's really tough.
And so a lot of this takes place in which is a great thing because in Finding Nemo you see the characters going through open water and oceans and everything, and you have different environments. But now you're in a marine institute, and it's so for you, Lindsey and Andrew, when you guys are there, there's a lot of creative ways of how the characters get around the park. But what was one of the most complicated scenes as a producer, Lindsey? You're just like, really?
I think honestly it was when Andrew came and was like, so we've come up with this new character and he's an octopus. And I said, I'm sorry, what? And he said, he's an octopus. Well, he's a septopus, so you get one less tentacle. He is Hank the octopus, no doubt, is the hardest character I think anybody at Pixar has ever done. And took 2 years. I mean, normally our characters take kind of 9 months start to finish. And this took he took 2.5 years just to build and rig. And so that was one where I was like, really? Does it have to be an octopus? Could you maybe not have maybe a turtle? No.
Already have that. No,
Plastic?
The first shot took 6 months to animate. And we're never going to get finished at this rate. But fortunately, everybody got smarter and faster.
And what environments were some of the most complicated ones? Because you see them in pipes and
It's
different
actually the
tanks.
glass. If you watch Finding Nemo, you'll notice that there was like only 3 shots, I think, where we allowed Andrew to put the camera in the corner of the tank of the dentist office. And it's because of the reflection and refraction. Talking to people at Google and YouTube, so I feel like I'm in my people. You understand me? So it's really hard. I mean, we intentionally didn't do that because the computer couldn't do it, and we had to direct it and fake it, all the lighting. And so the new renderer actually allowed us to do much more, and we took full
So we do it
advantage of
everywhere.
He did it everywhere. I'm like,
Everywhere.
yeah, 'cause every possible container has glass and reflection in it. So.
I gotcha. And so, are there any, what Andrew, what I loved was, I remember watching, I'm a huge, Pixar fan, animation fan, and I loved watching in the first one some of the making of it, and you kind of tacked on to this flashback thing in the first Finding Nemo where you wanted to do flashbacks and kind of tell the story through that. Yeah. And it's a great plot device that you used here throughout the movie as well to kind of tell Dory's story. Was that something you immediately knew that you wanted to do, or did it kind of come
that is
organically?
an 11th hour idea that saved our butts on this movie. We came up with it last fall. But a lot of people don't know Nemo didn't come together till the last 6 or 8 months. Mm-hmm. Like all the pieces were there, we just didn't have them lined right. And so I feel like this movie's in good hands in a weird way because it did the same pattern. But yeah, the first movie, all that tragedy you see at the beginning of Finding Nemo, all that loss, was actually flashbacks that were doled out. And it just didn't work. You didn't sympathize with Marlin. But once we saw his tragedy at the front, we moved it all to the front. And suddenly all the lines we had always had played fine. Everybody empathized with him. And then this was the reverse. We had too much information at the front. And then when we doled it out and made it memories that Dory has and is triggered as she goes, it became like the inverse of the first movie. And it just felt right.
Right, it was Jason Bourne
By the
style.
way,
It was great.
you can take that into your own life. Start every conversation with your saddest story.
It works.
And so now we're going to cue a exclusive clip here from Finding Dory. So let's cue it up.
Can you please keep it down over there? My head hurts.
Who's that? That's my neighbor Bailey. He was brought in with a head injury.
I know you're talking about me, Destiny.
He thinks he can't use his echolocation, but I've overheard the doctors talking.
I'm right here.
There's not a thing wrong
Hear
with him.
every word you're saying about me.
What's echolocation? Well, Bailey's head is supposed to put out a call, and the echo helps him find objects far away. Oh, but apparently, he's still healing.
Now I know you're talking about me. I really can't
I cannot
echolocate.
have this conversation again.
I
just
hit
can't.
my head very hard out there. See how swollen it
Your
is?
head is supposed to be big. You're a beluga.
So Ty and Kaitlin, those are your guys' characters, Bailey and Destiny. Did you guys record it all together to get some of the dynamic and improv? And
We did. That was
fun. We got to do 2 or 3 together. Because, you know, mostly you're just in there by yourself with these guys.
Bummer.
right.
Again.
But we got to do a couple together, and it was
Yeah.
really fun. Because we're actors. We're used to working with... these guys, by the way, are amazing.
They're
and,
too smart for us, though. It's much.
Yeah, it's
I'm
better to
always
work
looking.
with dumb people.
Yeah.
Yeah,
She was looking for an idiot,
that's
and
right.
she found one.
That's right. It makes me more comfortable. It makes me feel smarter.
Yeah, that was new for me. I haven't done a ton of animation, but the chance to go in and be in the room with, well, Kaitlin in particular, it was so funny. It's all, the whole process is so collaborative. Obviously, we're not really tinkering with any of the major writing, but these guys are just so smart, and so much changes as you're doing it, that when we were able to do it together, it really felt...
Yeah, just the freedom to play around a little bit and see what else was there.
Yeah.
it's great. So we're going to bring up our one of our YouTube top creators, Swoozy, to ask some questions that he got from our social media handles. So let's bring him up.
Hi, check. How's it going, guys?
Hi.
So we asked a lot of our YouTube subscribers and the YouTube peoples out there some questions, and a lot of them were coming toward you, Andrew. They want to know how you go about selecting voices for your movies.
Oh, well, everybody knows the term that the camera loves them. They're very photogenic. But I like to say there's a term where the microphone loves them. There are people that just have voices that you can just hang a character on. And sitting in front of you are 5 amazing examples. Oh, 6. I'm sorry. I can't count today. 6 examples.
Was I the one you weren't thinking
Yeah,
of?
I wasn't thinking
The
of
one
you.
you
forgot
forgot
about me.
Microphone does
I
not
thought-
love you, Ty. I'm sorry.
There's 5 people in front of you.
No, 4. No, wait a minute. 3.
Not gonna say
no,
which
there's
one
just
that
3.
win.
one guy who just tries super hard. He's just a hard-working guy.
But it's true. Like when you want to, like I was started out as an animator, so I really recognized like when you hear a voice that you can't help but project a character on. You can't help but like want to see acting from out of a different character. And so you end up with these lists sometimes. Ellen herself is somebody I wasn't thinking of at the time when I was really in early days of writing on Finding Nemo, and then I heard her off of the television set, and boom, it suddenly matched. I'd been a fan of Albert's, ever since I can remember going to all of his movies and listening to his comedy albums, and so I was waiting for the right role to fall for that. And then Kaitlin, same thing. I'd sort of been a fan of her voice, and Ty. And Hayden I discovered, and Eugene. All these are people that I've just been fans of hearing, and I just go, they would be perfect, but you're just waiting for the right character that you're coming up with and hope that somebody else hasn't grabbed them before you do.
What's the other thing, too, on YouTube, a lot of us are one-man production teams, and a lot of us do animation. So there's a lot of people wondering, how do we start off? Anybody that wants to be involved with animation, the process, just out the gate, what would you recommend as far as programs for anybody starting out?
Oh God, I don't know. I mean, I'm too old now. I don't know. I started out with pencil and paper. I still use pencil and paper. I don't know if anybody knows what that is, but
Old school, like Stone Age stuff.
yeah. All I can say is it's so easy. I mean, now you can make a movie in your house. Like I had to steal stuff, like when I did it, to like get movies made in my backyard and stuff. But so I'd just say, like, do it. You grab whatever you can and do it. Like, there's nothing stopping you. So just do it.
I mean, this one was popping up a lot. We can go on to, all right, what about other animated Disney films? If you could be in any of those other animated Disney films, what movie would you want to be in?
I'm a huge fan of all the Pixar movies, and particularly all of Andrew's movies. I was a huge fan of WALL-E and all the Toy Stories. Those are just, I watched those before I had kids, and then my little boys love those movies, so those are the ones that are always on. And so when I got the call about this, I was like, yeah, I don't care what I'm playing, but yes, whatever.
I'd like to give the Candlestick a go in Beauty and the Beast.
Nice. Even the Broadway version?
No. Not matinees.
What about you, Hayden? Any other movie, Aladdin, Lion King, any of those that you'd want to be in?
I don't really know if I'd want to be in any other movie besides this one.
Good answer.
Nice.
Good answer.
That's the
Yeah.
answer.
Your check
You
is in the
win.
mail.
Bonus.
Ellen, what about you?
Journey is-
Same answer. I would never. I thought,
This is the one.
I thought Dory was great in Finding Nemo. Joy and Inside Out would have been fun. I like Joy. I'm very happy being Dory.
Eugene, anybody?
No, the thing of it is, really, these pictures, all the Pixar animations are so incredibly great and the process is so much fun to do. I mean, I don't know if anybody really understands exactly what you do when you're in a studio, but it's really quite amazing. And when you get to work with, incredibly talented, genius people here, where you kind of just give a line, and as you're giving the line in the scene, they kind of know they're making changes as they're going. Try it this way, and it's all happening in milliseconds, and it's just it's an incredibly exciting way to work. Because
He also got to act with Diane Keaton, so that's probably why he's on a high.
I know my wife isn't here today. So that was kind of fun too. But yeah, I would say it's a really fun way to work doing animated films, and when the scripts and the stories are as exciting as Finding Dory, then you consider yourself very lucky.
Okay, awesome. That's all the time I have for you guys. We have some crowd questions later, but I'm going to toss it back here. Thanks so much for your time, guys.
Thank you.
Nice T-shirt.
Thank you, Swoozy. So we're going to take some audience questions. I think they're going to start lining up here. Here we go.
Hey, wait,
No.
can you hear me? You can hear me. Yeah, I kind of want to ask a question of everyone, but I'm going to focus on Dory. So don't be offended. It's all good. You're all cool. So my question to you is, in Finding Dory, one of the mantras for me was just keep swimming, which is, I'm a plus-size health and fitness motivator, so I help women like me start and re-engage in fitness. So to me, it's about the journey, embracing the journey, just keep moving. No matter what happens, just keep going while loving who you are and the body you're in. So what I'd be curious to know is, what is your life lesson coming out of Finding Dory? Did you have that moment, that just keep swimming moment, that really stood out to you?
Well, my life is, that's my motto as well.
No, it's my motto.
I think, okay, it's yours, and I'm now
We'll share.
so sorry to now steal it from you.
Second lawsuit.
Oh.
I'm aggressive.
Well, it was kind of like my motto. It wasn't completely my motto. Because I think if anyone knows my story, it is I had to just keep swimming. My life has been a lot of challenges and a lot of different curves and roadblocks, and so I think that's a great. I didn't come up with just keep swimming, but it has turned out to be something that a lot of people can hold on to and use in their life. And so I would say that just everything. I think I am so blessed and lucky that that's part of my character, that I get to say just keep swimming for whoever you are and whatever you're going through.
Well, thank you for that, because it's a big life changer. So
Thank you.
Huge motto. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello. I just wanted to know what your favorite aspect of working on this film has been, whether it's recording, fleshing out the story, promoting it, etc. Of anyone.
You've had probably the most to choose from. Yeah.
It's honestly, working with the actors is probably my favorite, simply because they're sitting in front of me. No, it's actually because it's the one part of this process over 4 years that's spontaneous, where you're actually doing a lot of give and take in the moment, and you're in the now, and you're just reacting. And I find that so exciting. I get very little of it making an animated picture, so I'm pretty hungry for it when we do these sessions. I know they're grueling, they're long. These guys stand around for 4 hours, and they're just on the whole time. So they're basically doing a one-person show. And a lot of them, I know, have said that it's the most tiring thing they do, simply because there's no breaks built into it. And but it's pretty invigorating. It's pretty exciting to me.
Hello, I'm Christina Kell from the channel Bad Girls Ball. This question is for everyone. A lot of people in the audience, including myself, are content creators here at YouTube. And I just would like to ask you all what advice you'd like to give us with building our careers.
Get super lucky. Get weirdly lucky.
That is horrible advice. Horrible advice.
I apologize.
Well, someone asked a question earlier to Andrew about how do you animate something. And you know, I would say the answer is the same, and that's a story. You start with that. You're a content creator. So you don't start with the actors, you don't start with a set, you start with a story, you start with the content. And if you have a great story, it can fit 100 different ways to tell it. Animation, it can fit live action. So, you know, think of great stories, just stories that you haven't heard. I would say that's a basis to start with.
I would say authenticity. I think if something's happened to you, and the same thing that Albert's saying, if you have a story, you're probably not the only person with that story, whatever it is. And sometimes the best stuff comes out of the hardest stuff and the worst stuff that you've gone through. So if you've actually experienced something, I don't think anybody should hide any kind of truth. So whatever you have witnessed or experienced or gone through, find a way to express that and find a way to stay. And I think people read truth and authenticity, and I think that's the most important thing for establishing anything.
And even if you don't have something, you must have a horrible uncle.
Thank you very much.
Hello.
Hello.
So I know a lot of you have experience with improv and just being quick on your feet, and I was wondering how much room there was for improvisation. It seems like a lot from what you've been saying, but how that improvisation affects the process and the final product, and how it might be different from other animated films as it was with Finding Dory.
Well, I don't know, compared to other animated films are different. Some of The Simpsons that I've done, the whole thing was improv. There's always a solid script here. And you know, the thing about Andrew is that once he gets those words, if you're willing to keep going, he'll take every word in the English language out of you. So, you know, by the end of the day, you've given a lot of choices. Hopefully there are some choices he didn't think of, and then they have to, the thing I'm most grateful for is I don't have to listen back to these recording sessions.
Exactly.
Because after 9,000 takes, I just said, you choose.
Every person here, there's at least 1 or 2 lines, if not more, that are in the finished movie of things that they came up with on the set that I would have never written. So.
But you know, it's generally in animated films, I think it's generally welcome because it's at the stage where it's still, you're not coming into a finished movie where you have to fit the exact words in a mouth. So they generally, if you can do it, they welcome it.
This is a question for Ellen and Dory. How did you learn to speak well?
Well, that's very good, first of all. I was in Hawaii, and there was a woman who was staying in the house next to the house that I was renting, and she was doing yoga, and like crazy yoga, like on rocks, and listening to whale sounds. Like, I didn't know you could buy that record, but there's a record that just is whale sounds. And I was listening to it, and it just was like it was the weirdest thing I'd ever seen in my life. And I just thought a wave is going to take her out any minute, and it didn't. Kind of wanted it to happen because it was just so weird that she's on her head on a rock. And so anyway, I just knew what a whale sounded like. And so I didn't think I'd ever need to use it in life, but I did.
I was so scared to ask her this. I thought, this is going to be the thing. This is on Nemo. This is going to be the thing that makes her go, okay, I'm done. I'm not in this movie anymore. I'm out. And I'm like, would you be willing to speak whale? And she told me this whole story right away. And then just went right into it.
Oh, I can speak whale, all right. I've been waiting. Yeah. So that's it, and it's not easy. I mean, you did it very well, but if you have to do it a lot, it's very it's tough on your vocal cords. You have to kind of warm up.
Kaitlin had to do it a lot because her character is the reason Dory knows how to speak whale. So.
Yeah, I did it a lot. They'd look at me and go, one last thing. I'm like, okay, let's just do it. Give me some tea.
Thank you. Thanks.
Hello, my question is for Ellen. What was the craziest moment that happened on set when recording the movie Finding Dory?
The craziest moment? I don't know if there was a crazy moment, but there
back
were
went
many.
out.
Yeah, when your
Your back went out.
You couldn't even stand. Your back went
Oh,
out.
I don't even remember that. We
You
did
came
this
into
for
the
3
session
years.
like
So what
this.
happened to
Like,
me?
yeah, when
You
you
came
came
in
in,
like
you couldn't
this.
stand up.
Oh.
Like right before you came into the
Oh,
session,
that's
and
right.
you still had to do like a 4-hour session with us. And we were like, we're really sorry. Could you do one more?
That's right. Well, I don't know, it was crazy. It was sad.
Sad. It was
It's
sad.
one of the saddest. Do you want a
Yeah.
sad moment or a crazy? Yeah, I
Yeah.
forgot, and then I had to still
Yeah,
do
you
it
had to, like,
because
lean
Another
over,
crazy
like,
moment
move the
where you
mic.
got in that horrible accent.
yeah. Remember that time when I was
So crazy.
It was so
sad.
crazy. Crazy Ellen.
Yeah. I was going to say, this is just an excuse to complain about it, that because Dory is always either left behind or catching up to people, so there's a lot of hyperventilating, like breathing, really just, guys, it's that, or it's like scream, and like a lot of those. And you'd think that once, I just did that, you could use that throughout the whole film, right? But I had to do it all the time. I had to, and I was just like, don't you really have the already? So there was a lot of that, and when you see this film, and you should see it many times, you will see that I don't do it that often in the film, and I don't know why he
That
needed
was
me
like
to
your first comment.
That
was like Ellen was like, I really loved it. Where was all the gasping and
Yeah.
hyperventilating?
Yeah.
Like literally,
That's
that was her
right out of
first
her mouth.
question, right
It
out
was-
of her mouth. Like, where is it?
So
It's in the toys.
yeah, I see. That's how they get you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Hello. Who came up with the idea for Sia to cover Unforgettable, and how did that all come about?
Oh gosh,
No, who exactly?
Well, you always wanted the song.
I just
that
said
was
they-
always.
I said they got to have one syllable. That's the only thing I care about.
Yeah, just-
one syllable.
And we don't want to know what she looks like.
Yeah. No, but it was the song was always there. Like you always wanted that song at the end of the movie, and you knew it was going to be covered. We didn't want the original. We wanted it.
Robbie Williams
amazing.
had actually covered Beyond the Sea on the first movie. And so I wanted it to feel like that same sort of complimentary modern-day singer plus an old classic. And Sia was pretty much on the top of the list.
We were talking to you.
We talked to you in a session about it.
I was in a session, and they said the song is going to be Unforgettable, and they said we're thinking of Sia, and I got my phone out.
Seriously, she was like, "Let's see how fast we can make this happen."
I said, "I'm right now," and so I
Yeah.
texted her, and she's like, "Are you kidding me? Of course, I would love to do that." So it was like that quick. She just was so excited. So
Turns out when you know Ellen DeGeneres,
Good to be a friend of Ellen.
can happen pretty quickly.
I was texting with Sia too, and she never.
That's the thing is she was
never
texting with me when she
didn't
got
come
that
up,
text,
but-
and I was like, all right, go. Ellen needs you.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys. So a couple things for the audience too. So we Google also partnered with Pixar and Disney to basically give you guys a lot of really cool content on the Knowledge panel. If you type in Finding Dory on Google search, you'll see over on the right-hand side in the Knowledge panel there's a whole bunch of stuff that Disney's been doing, trailers and GIFs and a whole bunch of stuff. So it's been really cool stuff. So thank you guys so much for providing that. You guys probably didn't know, but it's there. And so now you guys know. So check that out. Also, to celebrate Finding Dory, and today being World Oceans Day, everyone's tuning in, just to help our friends of the sea. So there's a donate button in the live stream links you'll see there, and after this as well, to the Wildlife Conservation Society.
Oh, I thought you literally had friends at sea. I was scared. Yeah.
Friends in the sea, yeah. To help save rays, sharks, and other wildlife and wild places across the globe. So, yeah. So a great thing Disney is doing. So if you guys look that up. And so what we're going to do here is going to be something pretty cool. And you guys are all going to be involved. You guys ready? All right. So we're going to take a selfie. Yeah, terrible pun, I know. So Suzy, come on up here. So what we're going to do is, guys, in your seats, just stand up. Don't crowd the stage. We're going to take the cast. We're going to stand right here. Thank you guys so much. Ready. So we're wrapping up here, guys. So Finding Dory is going to be in theaters June 17th. So just a couple weeks. So check it out, and thank you guys so much for being here. Let's